Hey all, Eric here. As you can see, freshly shaved on top, on the side, underneath, and some other areas due to manscaping for February. Anyway, today's video is in regard to Black History Month, and I just learned something from a post on my Facebook feed about the American coin, the dime. Have you ever wondered who designed the face of the dime? I honestly hadn't paid attention, and I don't remember it being taught in school, but apparently the dime is connected to women's history and black history. And this being Black History Month, we're going to talk about a woman named Selma Burke. Selma Burke is the woman, through sculpture, who is responsible for Franklin Delano Roosevelt's face on the dime. So let's dive in, shall we? So this is a picture of Selma Burke with her sculpture, one of her sculptures. This article, and I'll scroll up a bit here so you can see, and I will link this in the description of the video from the National Women's History Museum, and the link is up here. So like I said, let's dive into it. Selma Burke discovered her love for sculpture as a young girl and followed her passion to Harlem Renaissance, New York, Parisian art studios, and even the White House. The artist behind President Franklin Roosevelt's image on the dime, she was a dedicated art teacher and one of the most notable sculptors of the 20th century. She also has a connection to North Carolina. She was born on December 31st, 1900, in Mooresville, North Carolina. She was the seventh of Mary Jackson and Neil Burke's 10 children. Her father was a Methodist minister who also worked on the railroads and cruise ships. Burke's interest in art began at an early age, sculpting small objects and animals with white clay from a nearby riverbed. Quote, "One day I was mixing the clay and I saw the imprint of my hands," she told the New York Post in 1945. "I found that I could make something that I alone had created," unquote. Burke's father encouraged her artistic pursuits. She often used the objects he brought back from his ocean travels as the models for her sculptures. Her interest in African art began with a collection of African artifacts the family inherited from Burke's uncles, who had done missionary work abroad. Burke's mother, on the other hand, encouraged her to follow the more practical career path of nursing. Burke graduated from the Slater Industrial and Slater Normal School, later Winston-Salem State University, which most of you viewing this video will know is one of the historical black colleges and universities of the area. She graduated in 1922. She went on to St. Agnes Training School for Nurses in Raleigh, North Carolina, where she graduated as a registered nurse in 1924. After that, she completed further nursing training in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She married her childhood friend Durant Woodard, but she was widowed when he died not long after the wedding. Burke moved to New York City in the late 1920s, where she worked as the private nurse for Amelia Waring, an heiress to the Otis elevator empire. Waring helped Burke gain exposure to the arts and culture scenes in New York. Burke began socializing with the artists and writers associated with the Harlem Renaissance. She was romantically involved with poet and novelist Claude McKay. Sources vary as to whether they even legally married, but it was a tumultuous pairing, and the two soon separated. After Waring's death, Burke left nursing and turned her focus to sculpture. Now I'll skip down to where it talks about her involvement with the White House. Following the entry of the United States into World War II, Burke enlisted in the Navy, becoming one of the first African American women to sign up. Her assignment was to drive a truck at the Brooklyn Navy Yard. She injured her back on the job, and while recuperating, she won a nationwide contest for the commission of a bronze relief portrait of President Franklin Roosevelt. Burke felt that photographs of Roosevelt were inadequate for her needs and requested a sitting with the president so she could draw him. Roosevelt agreed, and Burke sketched Roosevelt over 2 days in February 1944. Roosevelt passed away in April of 1945. His successor, President Harry S. Truman, unveiled Burke's relief portrait at the Recorder of Deeds building in Washington, D.C. on September 24, 1945. Though she endorsed it, Eleanor Roosevelt reportedly did not like the portrait at first, as it depicted her husband as a younger man. Burke responded that she intended the image to represent Roosevelt as Americans had long known him, not as he appeared in his final years. In addition to the bronze portrait, Burke's profile of Roosevelt is widely acknowledged as the basis for his image on the U.S. dime. The dime's image is officially attributed to U.S. Mint Chief engraver John Sinnock, but many, including Burke, claim that Sinnock borrowed from Burke's depiction. Burke described herself as a people sculptor and intended for her art to speak to wide audiences, including those who lack an arts education. Her work often focused on the human body, and she used brass, bronze, alabaster, and limestone, among other materials. And the rest of the article goes on to talk about the rest of her work. When she completed her final sculpture, which was in reference to Martin Luther King Jr. As a matter of fact, since I'm here and this is connected to Charlotte, I'll just go ahead and go through it with you. Burke completed her final sculpture in 1980, a 9-foot bronze statue of Martin Luther King Jr. that stands in Marshall Park in Charlotte, North Carolina. She passed away in 1995 in New Hope, Pennsylvania. Her sculptures are still on display at institutions such as Winston-Salem State University, the Smithsonian American Art Museum, and the Mooresville Public Library in her North Carolina hometown. And so there you have it, today's Black History moment regarding Selma Burke, who has been given credit for Franklin Roosevelt's image on the American coin, the dime. And as always, remember, Black history is American history, and all Americans have a part in Black history because it is American history. See you on the next video.